New World. Season 3, new expansion. Rise of the Angry Earth. There's no way this is in the game. There's no way.
Time has no claim
Wait, a flail?
on the Eternal Isle.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, you have to gather those.
And yet,
Wait, that's a saddle,
change
isn't it?
will come.
Oh, fuck. Wow.
Eternity
What's this?
wasted on human ambition.
Hey, it's a Minotaur? No way.
Nature must rise.
Is he gonna
and
get on the
reign.
mount? He better get on the mount.
Mighty lords, let us cleanse these lands.
But the future is fixed for neither man nor beast.
Dude, I thought this was just gonna be like a 7. It was just like a list of like all the new changes. I was like, what the fuck? Wow.
End them.
Oh shit.
Change
Oh shit!
is coming for us all.
That was clever. I didn't expect that. So we getting mounts. New World is actually finally going to add mounts. Let's see actually what people think about it on YouTube. I want to hear what the YouTube viewers have to think about this. This is so cool. Y'all nuked the territory, added a mace and flail hybrid, mounts, some new enemies, shut it off perfectly. Yeah, that's actually really good. So glad I didn't give up on the game and gave it another shot after some of the mess ups. They're removing the expertise system, man. Thank God. Rise of the Angry Earth. There's a new story. First Light is fallen. Yeah, this place got fucked up. There's like this girl. I guess she's the one from the cinematic. And you get mounts. Summon a mount for faster traversal across the Turnum. Master horses, direwolves, lions, each with a unique look, customizable equipment, and a name you can set. You can name your mount. And the riding trade skill to earn upgrades like increased speeds, buffs, and higher tier consumable food for your new friend. Okay, so like mounting isn't just like getting on a mount. There's actually like a lot to it then. What the fuck? Yeah, I didn't expect that at all. Wow. Okay. Unborrowed shards are gone. Yeah, let's look at this here. New progression. Increase your character's level to 65 and gear score to 700 with new attributes to help power up your builds. Increase trade skills to level 250 with new items to gather, refine, and craft. Complete a new faction questline to unlock a new faction tier loaded with desirable gear and items. New gear rarity, artifacts. Find and equip artifacts. A powerful new tier of weapons and armor. Complete a series of quests to unlock the artifact's full potential by unlocking its 6 perks, unlocking one unique playstyle defining perk to change your game. Okay, interesting. Very cool. New weapon, flail. The flail is a versatile one-handed weapon with the option for a one... Oh, wow. So we actually finally have a second weapon to use with the shield. Thank God. This is great. I'm actually really surprised by this. Through a combination of melee, arcane magic, and strong defenses, the wielder can bolster their group's effectiveness without dropping the offensive. That's great. A zone transformed Elysian Wilds. The southeastern tip of Eternum, formerly known as First Light, has been invaded by the powers of Artemis and the Angry Earth. Explore the raised structures of the magical new landscape. New expedition, no surprise there. The Savage Divide. Embark on a dangerous level 62 plus expedition. Very cool. New Heart Rune ability. Very cool. Season 3 content. New pass. Fucking course they're going to have that. New influence rages. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. I think it has to do with factions. New main story quest line. Oh, wow. Look at this. Yo, this is actually gameplay shit. Ward gear, Bane gear, resilience, and expertise is all getting removed based on player feedback. You're welcome. Yeah. Thank God. Thank fucking God. Real changes? Yeah, this is fucking insane. Oh my God. For Banes, we're increasing the base damage of magic and ranged weapons in PvE to make them more effective alternatives to melee options. I think that's actually really good. For wards, we're making adjustments to AI and encounter side to account for the defensives. Okay, good. For resilience, we're adding crit reduction to players. Okay, that's smart. And for expertise, we're making adjustments to the gear score drops from all creatures based on their level. Okay, so you kill harder monsters and you get better gear. I like the sound of that. Okay, great. Seasonal events, Night Vale Hollow. I think we had this one before. Turkey Terror. Turkulon is back for revenge. Thank God. Thank fucking God. Alrighty, guys. Back again. Oh God, it's the Great Turkey. Yep, there it is. Are they going to be talking about the expansion with this or what? Yeah, let's watch this. Yeah, this is huge.
I kind of have this anxiety about spending these Umbral Shards that take a lot of time and effort to earn, and we recognize that. So in order to smooth out that process, items are just going to drop at the higher item levels appropriate to the content that you're doing. You don't need to invest an extra resource into leveling them up or anything.
Wow.
All right, welcome to Forged in Eternum, where we talk about all things New World. Today, we have a very special episode of Balance of Power. We are going to be talking not about creating balance, but about breaking balance by introducing a bunch of new stuff in Season 3. So we're going to go a little bit away from the format and talk about upcoming changes to the gear. To help me go through this all, I'm joined by Patrick Smedley, our season's design lead, who's now also working and leading the progression team. And Drew Higbee, a player with over 2,000 hours in New World. Also our product manager, but don't hold that against him.
Good.
All right, so let's get into all the big changes coming in Season 3. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the problems we've had and what the sort of goals to fix them are. Drew, you mind kicking us off here?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that we had as we played through and we watched players play through the game is right when you hit level 60.
I never got this fucking helmet, by the way. I never did. I killed fucking Crassus like 10 times. Never fucking got the helmet.
There's this extra level, this extra barrier to getting good gear, which is the expertise system. And we decided that it's just not necessary anymore. We're just removing the expertise system.
Okay. Yep. Agreed. Yeah, we decided it's garbage and we just decided to delete it. Okay, cool. I really like this. We're off to a great start.
So if you really loved it, sorry, it's going away.
Sorry, fuck you.
But it's just entirely removed from the game now. You don't have to level up your gearing by picking up a few rings to be able to get level 600 rings or anything like that anymore. They just drop based on the type of content that you're clearing, and you'll get appropriate item level rewards for that content.
Awesome. What about Umbral upgrading? Any changes there?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the other things is...
I have like 30,000 Umbrals saved up. I was like, oh, if they add in a new weapon, I'll be ready.
You would get a piece of gear and you would say, oh, do I want to invest my Umbral Shards in this piece of gear?
Yeah.
It's kind of an upgrade for me right now, but it's not the best piece of gear that I want long term. I kind of have this anxiety about spending these Umbral Shards that take a lot of time and effort to earn, and we recognize that.
Yep.
So in order to smooth out that process, items are just going to drop at the higher item levels appropriate to the content that you're doing. You don't need to...
What a crazy idea. What a great idea. I wish that somebody had told them this. I wish that somebody had said, maybe we should have done this. But I'm glad it's getting changed. Thank God. I wonder how it's going to work, though. Is it going to drop at a set eye level, or is it going to drop in like a, like a range?
invest an extra resource into leveling them up or anything.
Awesome. And Patrick, any concerns about the bloat maybe of drops that we've had?
Yeah, we drop a lot of items in our game. If you run an expedition, you're probably coming out of that with about 40 to 50 items.
Yes.
So as a player, you're then having to sift through your inventory, figure out what items you want to keep, what you want to sell, and then what you're just going to salvage.
I guess this, Diablo 4 needs to hire this guy. Yeah, they need to bring this guy over to Blizzard and sit him down in front of a Diablo 4 nightmare dungeon. Let's see what a real nightmare is.
It's not a super fun inventory management minigame, so
No,
we're
it's
not
not.
very happy with where that is right now. So with that in mind, we want to give you less loot, but we want that loot to matter more. So what that means is the loot that you do acquire should be higher quality, so it should be more useful for you. That'll come with a new system called loot biasing, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
That's awesome. What about chase items? Any issues there, Drew?
Yeah, I think throughout the game,
There's no fucking chase items in the game at all. There's nothing that's hard to get at all. Like, if I want to go get something, like one of the best items, I have to go kill a level 55 bear for 3 hours. And then I get it. And then that's it. I have the item. And like, maybe I could buy the helmet. Yeah, but like, I could have... The thing is, like, if I had gone harder to get that helmet, I could have. I easily could have, because you can craft it. It's not really a chase item, because I'm just a lazy bitch. Like, if I really wanted to get the helmet, I would have gotten it. But I didn't. Because I needed 2 ward sets, and it was a pain in the ass. I didn't like the dungeon. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'll just go get the set from Tempest Heart. Whatever.
there's a few different items that drop that have like the 3 perks that you really, really want. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
in a way, those are chase items.
They are,
But the
but they're
reality
not-
is they're not 3 perks that you couldn't get in any other combination or crafting or anything like that.
could just
So what we
theoretically
wanted
buy
to
the
do is
same
we
item.
wanted to add new chase items to the game that are really impactful and have unique perks.
Okay.
To that end, we're adding artifacts to the game, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
That's great.
Awesome.
I think that they've needed to do this for a while. I'm really glad to see this. This is awesome.
Any problems or issues you've seen with crafting, Patrick?
Yeah, if you're a crafter right now, a lot of your life involves around rolling these items and hoping you're going to roll the perfect item. It's a lot of RNG, and it's not super compelling because you don't have a lot of control over the item you're ultimately making. So for the expansion, we want to give players the opportunity to craft gear that means more to them so they can understand what they're crafting more cleanly. To that end, we're reducing the ranges that items can roll and instead replacing them with fixed gear scores so you know exactly the power of the item you're creating.
Wow.
And we're also giving crafters a way to craft
That's actually really big. So there's no like gamba on getting a 600.
exactly the item they want down to every single perk, which we will talk about more when we talk crafting.
Awesome. And last sort of issue, what about any issues with perks we've seen, Drew?
Well, you know, you mentioned I'm a product manager. We do love data. One of the things we did is we looked at all the different perks across the game. We looked at their use rates. We looked at their effectiveness. We looked at why people were using them in certain circumstances. Because just because something wasn't being used a lot doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't useful for players. And we did.
Well, I would assume actually that would be what I think it would mean. But okay.
Did a pass, and we're removing some, we're changing some, and we're adding a few more perks.
I wonder how many people used Beast Ward before the Sandworm came out.
That's awesome. Well, some pretty big changes here coming. I think it's fair to call it sort of like an overhaul to the loot system in New World. Well, let's start. Are there any big progression pieces that we should be aware of, Drew?
Yeah, so one of the exciting things is we're actually increasing the level cap to level 65, so there's a few more levels to play through.
I don't like this. It's OCD. I think it should be 70. I do. I think it should be 70. Like, level 85, that Cataclysm shit, it's like, oh, they're too lazy to increase the level to 90. Is that right? No, bro. Like, no. Like, it should be 70.
As part of that, you'll actually just hit level 65 very naturally, just playing through the new content in the game. This isn't meant to be a long, arduous journey to 65. This is, you're unlocking a bit more power as you play through the game, and people will be 65 pretty quickly.
And do you get anything with those levels in terms of attributes, and how might that change the game?
For sure, yeah. There are a few attribute points that you end up getting via just straight up leveling, a few via gear score. There's actually a few attribute threshold bonuses that you'll be getting that weren't there before. So there's a new one at 350, and there's a new one at 25. And what this means is there's actually a lot more
that's actually really nice. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Combinations that you can do across your builds to get these attribute threshold bonuses that are going to change your playstyle and kind of create a more unique experience to your build, as well as optimize some unknown builds right now.
Yeah, I like the combination of having some early ones so you can like dabble to get a little bit of power, and then some of the big ones. Any changes to weapon mastery to go along with the leveling, Patrick?
Yeah, so we're introducing a new weapon, the flail. And if you're like me, you're going to equip that flail on day one. You're going to want to grind up to weapon mastery 20 so you can be very effective with it. If you're doing that in the live game right now, you're probably going to a POI in Great Cleave or Restless Shores to grind that out. And it takes a little bit of time.
I'm glad to see that they actually play the game. Because that's literally what you do. You farm Thorpe or you farm the fucking pirates. Thank God. The only thing I'm worried about is that New World is going to do another fresh server thing, and they're going to try to sponsor me, and I'm going to have to re-level another character and re-level weapon mastery again. I swear to fucking God, if they do that, I will be so happy, but fuck, I'm going to have to do it again. Don't you dare have to make another one. Bro, it's going to be my 4th 60.
It's not as quick and snappy as we'd like. So to that end, we're decreasing the amount of experience you need to level a weapon from 1 to 20 by roughly 30%, with most of those cuts coming on the tail end. So levels 15, 16, 17, and beyond should be a little more smooth and quick, and you should feel that power progression more cleanly.
Awesome. Well, talking about power progression, I think gear is also getting a big upgrade. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're increasing the max gear score.
I always felt like in New World, like I never really felt like my character was getting like that much more powerful once I hit like max level. Like in WoW, for example, like if you're in max gear, you just feel like totally different than if you're not. And like, you know, think of like Molten Core gear versus like Nax gear, even BWL gear versus Nax gear. It's like a totally different universe. Same thing as like Wrath or like BC too.
We're up to 700. So right now that max is 625, with most items capping out their drop at around gear score 600. Now you can acquire items anywhere from gear score 625 up to 700 in the expansion content.
So they drop naturally all the way up to 700.
They drop naturally all the way to 700. So there's no more upgrading an item to get to that maximum power. Okay. Now you get to go and grind go and acquire the exact item that you want at the exact gear score you want. So different content will drop items.
I wonder like what's going to happen though, because like my concern with this is that wouldn't everybody just like make a death ball and then just repeat kill the same mob that drops 700 or as close to 700 gear in the open world as possible? And then just farm that out really fast? Because like that's kind of what my concern with this would be. Because if there's no expertise, like expertise does kind of solve that problem, but it creates another problem. I don't know. I think that it would only really work, and like the way that WoW kind of solved this in like Warlords is that all of the open world drops weren't really that good, and you had to do instance content, which is probably what they're going to have to do.
At different gear score ranges. So really hard mutation 3 content, for example, will drop 695 to 700, giving you the highest odds at that top end content. Other content will drop at different ranges depending on the difficulty of the content.
Patrick, any changes with attributes coming with this higher gear score?
Yeah, so higher gear score items, gear score 675 to 700 roll at legendary, and the top end of those items will give you more attribute bonus points than other items. So if you really want to optimize your build, you're going to be chasing those gear score 700 items to make yourself as powerful as you can be.
Awesome. And combined with...
That seems fine. Yeah, all of this seems fine so far. They're dropping at mutations? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like 650, 670, 670... No, I understand that, but I'm saying like, what do you get in the open world? Right? Because like, let's say there's like a very challenging boss in the open world. Well, it's not challenging if you bring 50 people, probably. So like, how are you gonna like balance that? Probably 625 to 650. Yeah, I think if they do that, it would be fine.
the level and the gear, approximately how many more attribute points are people going to be getting?
On average, you'll be seeing around 600 attribute points for most players. So about 100 more with the expansion, which should open up a lot of fun avenues for new builds.
What the fuck?
Well, let's jump into the next topic.
Holy
So
shit.
you mentioned something about less loot, but loot that matters more. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the high-level goal is that one sentence. We want to give you less loot that drops, but we want that loot to matter more. How we're planning to accomplish a lot of that is a new system we're calling loot biasing. So me as a player, I tend to use light armor, a spear, and a bow.
Right.
And right now when I play the game, I'm going to get items that drop that might be completely useless for me. I'll get a heavy gauntlet with focus on it. I'll get a life staff. These aren't items I ever plan to use.
True.
When I'm playing the expansion, though, I should be getting items that drop that are more meaningful to me as a player because of the attributes I have, the weapons I use, and the equip weight I'm set at. So I can expect to see more light gauntlets that have dexterity on them, more spears dropping, more bows, all things that I as a player might use more frequently, or if I'm not personally going to use it, I could probably sell it on the trading post. So it's a really exciting system for me. The natural question that arises from this is, well, I play multiple builds. How am I going to make sure that what I'm getting from this content is going to help me gear for those different builds? You can easily, as a player, swap your armor loadout to maybe my spear sword build. And then when I open my caches from Outpost Rush or War, now I'm going to have a chance of getting swords out of that. So I can gear.
So it's just like the same as WoW, right? Change your loot specialization before you open your box. Sure.
Myself easily for multiple pieces of content, depending on what I'm wearing at the moment I do that content.
Awesome. Well, speaking of perks, Drew, tell us a little bit about all the big perk changes coming this season 3.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we kind of looked through a bunch of the different perks and really dove deep on all the different ones that were there, how they're being used, how maybe they weren't being used. To that end, some perks are being removed, such as the siphoning perks. They just didn't have a very high acquisition or use rate. Probably too high of an acquisition rate, definitely too little of a use rate.
Okay.
And so we're removing some perks like that from the game that just aren't seeing use and players don't feel like they're fun. The goal here is when you get an item, you shouldn't say, this item is just not useful because it doesn't have that one perk that makes it useful. To that end, we're removing wards and banes and resilient and items that you're...
Wards, Bane, and Resilient are garbage, in my opinion. I've always thought they were garbage. I have a few 625 ward sets for like tanking different expeditions, and it wasn't fun getting them. It's just trash. Like you're farming the same set of gear 4 different times with 1 different stat. What the fuck?
You're looking for should just be the perks that you're interested in, not feeling like there's a mandatory perk that you have to have for an item to even be useful. So yeah, we changed a few different perks, as I mentioned, things like some of the weapon mastery perks. So accelerating traps, for example, kind of plays into that fantasy of being like a hunter trapper. So now the traps not only
yeah, I think that's a big problem that New World has with a lot of their perks is that none of them actually really feel good to use. And they don't really feel like they're game-changing a lot. And you have some perks that are extremely game-changing, like Trenchant Recovery, for example. Like, that one's massive. You have some of the, like, reload perks and stuff like that for the musket and for the bow that are, like, very important. And there's a handful of other ones, like Mana Recovery on, like, the Fire Staff. But most of them don't really matter. It's like you do 5% more damage. It's like, okay, like, that's it. But they don't really change the way that you play.
They add a speed bonus, but they also add a bleed effect. So you're dealing a little bit of extra damage if something gets close to you, which would make sense because you were generally keeping things at a bit of a range as a musket. Now you get a little bit of a damage bonus up close via those bleed perks that are on there. And then we ended up adding a few more perks because who doesn't like some new perks as long as they're good, which we really feel like these ones are very good. I'm very interested in decking out my entire Fire Staff set. All of the armor will have plus fire damage on it now to give me a nice little bonus to my damage. So we're excited about that.
That's
kind
cool.
of adding a little bit more
like
dynamic perks to the armor sets that help you offensively, not just defensively, and not just kind of like the weapon perks. So there's a little bit more of a combination, a little bit more of a range of things that may appeal to you as a player when you see items start dropping coming soon.
Awesome. And one of my favorite new perks coming, Magnify. Tell me a little bit about how this works.
Yeah, so one of the things is maybe you have a really good weapon that just has 30 con on it or something, and you want to use it in certain sets, but you can't because it ends up throwing off your attributes a little bit. Well, Magnify helps solve that problem. It just magnifies whatever your highest attribute is. So if your entire strength set is a strength set, now it's going to add 30 strength as opposed to adding 30 con previously. But if you swap over to a tanking set and you still want to use that item, now it gives you 30 con because that's what you're spec'd into the most. We feel
so that's interesting. So it makes it so where it's easier to swap weapons and use them for different builds. Great.
like this will let you feel like the items that you worked really hard to get are even more valuable because you can use them across more builds, and also allows you to kind of experiment with other builds a little bit easier. And hopefully that opens up a lot of new possibilities.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into probably one of my favorite features coming in the expansion. Tell me about artifacts, Patrick.
Yeah, artifacts are awesome. They are Gear Score 700 playstyle, build-defining objects you can acquire in the world. So we have a whole set of artifacts coming with the expansion, and you can find these on named enemies in the open world, out of dungeons, the PvP reward track. All sorts of content will be vectors for these artifacts to drop. When you get an artifact, it's a unique one-off item, so it has a unique perk on it that will not exist on any other item in the game.
Okay, so it's
so
like
one example, my
Diablo
personal
thing.
favorite is called Scorpion Sting. It is a spear that has javelin as a perk, but that javelin doesn't push the enemy away. It pulls them to you. It's going to be super useful for me in Outpost Rush. When you get Scorpion Sting, you're going to go and you're going to see that it has a bunch of perks on it that are locked behind a quest. So when you equip the spear, you're going to see your HUD change to show the objectives that you need to complete to unlock those perks.
Get over here.
As you complete those objectives, it might say go kill Thorpe in the depths, for example. You're going to kill Thorpe, and then immediately that perk is going to unlock, and you're going to have that.
I swear to God, if the artifact greatsword is not like some fucking crazy ass like whirlwind or something just absolutely fucking nuts, I'm gonna lose my mind. Bro, it had better be fucking insane.
Artifact be slightly more powerful. Eventually, you'll have unlocked every perk on the artifact, and it's going to be a really, really powerful item that you're going to want to make sure you have equipped. So you can have 3 of them equipped at a time, 1 weapon, 1 armor piece, and 1 jewelry piece. And hopefully they should really change the way you're playing the game.
Awesome. What about you? You got any favorite artifacts?
There's a lot of really fun artifacts, really exciting.
Greatsword's gonna be faster herb gathering. Ooh, man. Oh, man.
To roll them out to everybody. One of the ones that I think is very defining for tanks is there's one called the Wall that you're probably going to want to pick up.
Okay,
it's a
what's
tower
this?
shield. It dramatically increases your ability to block. It has like an enhanced sturdy blocking. It has 25% less damage from elemental attacks. Obviously super huge, but all things that are good need a little bit of a trade-off. You're not going to be able to dodge with this thing. It's just too powerful.
Fuck yes! Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I hated having to dodge, and now I have an excuse not to. Bro, this is awesome.
Powerful to be able to move and dodge at the
Bro, these guys watched the fucking that Hannah Orlando video.
same time. So it'll be something that it will change your
shit.
playstyle as a player.
I love
But it
this.
should lean into kind of your class fantasy,
Yeah.
your way you want to play the game in a lot of different
Not
ways.
even fat rolling,
Awesome.
yeah.
My favorite probably is the Abyss. It's a great axe that actually scales off int rather than strength, so it allows you to try new builds. And
That's actually really cool. Wow. Like, imagine that with, like, the Void Gauntlet or something. Like, that's... What the fuck?
all the damage is void damage, so it's pretty cool. All right, let's
We need a faith-based greatsword called the Moonlight Greatsword, and it can shoot, like, giant, like, blue or, like, turquoise, like, slashes, like, really, really far. Need to add those. It'd be really cool. Maybe, like, 2 of them.
jump into crafting, Patrick. What are some of the changes coming with crafting?
Yeah, so as we mentioned a little bit earlier, crafters right now have this paradigm that we don't love where you're rolling on a pretty wide range of gear scores, so it makes getting the item you want to craft pretty hard to do. So the first big change you're making is gear score is now a fixed value when you craft. You know exactly the gear score you're going to output. So when you have all of your
That's
buffs
good.
equipped, all of your food taken, town buff is up, you know that you're going to craft an item.
I think actually this is actually really good, I think, because this will make crafting gear, won't this make crafting gear more valuable? Because you can't RNG without crafting gear? So you need crafting gear? Yeah, it would, right? I think that's good.
At a specific gear score, and then you can still roll on those perks depending on the what attribute mod you throw in there, what perk mod you throw in there, etc. But we're also giving players a way to guarantee a gear score 700 with a new item called the Azoth Inductor. The Azoth Inductor will give you a bonus to gear score, guarantee you that top end gear score, and let you craft a very powerful item.
Wow.
But wait, there's more. We're also adding an item called the Prismatic Scarab. This will let you, on a set cadence, craft an item that is exactly the item you want. So you can specify the attribute type, every single perk on the item, and output basically the item of your dreams. And it should allow players to create best-in-slot items a lot more cheaply than they can in the current game.
Wow. That's a lot.
And another change is now you can use both.
I wonder what's going to happen, though, because, like, how often can you do that? Can you sell the items that you can do it with? Can I have my viewers all use their prismatics, like, once a month that I'll quit? Like, can you guys log on and make me this gear? I'll give you the stuff. All right, yeah, I want this one. Yeah, let me get a number 5 with trenchant recovery, critical strike damage, and extra fries. It'd be perfect, you know? It's bind on pickup? Oh, fuck!
You can use both at the same time, right? To guarantee the gear score.
Correct. You can couple that Prismatic Scarab with the Azoth Inductor to craft that perfect gear score 700 item.
It's awesome. Hey, well, thanks for joining me today to sort of give an overview of the big changes coming in the expansion. I hope you all enjoyed the segment. Please like and subscribe if you did. We have a community question. We'd love your feedback on the upcoming changes. What changes are you most excited about? And is there any change that you perhaps didn't hear us mention that you had wished? Let us know, and we'll see you in Eternum.
Okay.
That you had wished.
All right.
Let us know. Is there any change that you perhaps...
Pause. Okay. What changes are you most excited about? I really like the idea of artifact weapons. I think that's really cool. The added value placed on crafting armor is also really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, mounts. Yeah, mounts are cool. Now, expertise removal, yes. Here's what I wish was happening. I think New World needs more social features. I think they need to do 2 more patches that are similar to the, what do you call it? I forgot what the patches that they introduced music in. Like, we need to have something like player housing and garrisons that are more than what we have now. There needs to be something for players to do in towns and to interact with each other in towns. And I think that one of the problems with that, like guild housing and like group housing and stuff like that, like there's no reason to go into a tavern, for example. You can't even sit in the chairs in the tavern. You want to have different places where players that play the game can actually feel like they're part of a living, breathing world. That's why, for example, everybody probably had their spot that they would stand in Ironforge or in Stormwind or in Dalaran whenever they were playing World of Warcraft. And I think that, you know, like fucking in Final Fantasy, it's the same thing, or any of these other games. And those types of experiences, I think, are what makes MMOs transcendent from being a game to being a part of your life in a healthy way, you could say, right? Because people like logging on, they have their friends in the game, and they have fun things that they do with their friends in the game. So I think that what New World needs to do is they need to add in more different ways for players to interact with each other. And one of the biggest barriers to that is the fact that the players aren't there. And so let's go back over, and I'd like to look at the New World server status here. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people playing comparatively, right? Oh, we got another embed. And, another one of these. 6,000 people. Obviously not super great. The game hasn't been doing well, but we're not going to talk about that right now. The point that I'm making is that even with a server that has 2,000 people on it, the game still feels kind of dead. And I think that this is a really good question. How good would the game feel if you added all of these US servers together? You just put all of them on top of each other, and you said, this is a big, massive server, and everybody is here. That's what they need to do. Because I think the biggest problem that WoW has, or not WoW has, that New World has, is that, well, WoW had this problem, then they had to cross realm zones. It would feel amazing. Like, I think a good example of this is like, so if you go back, and I'll show you this, Asmongold, New World, and I think that one of the coolest things is seeing everybody else, right? It's seeing all these other players, and that's why the Fresh server was so popular. That's why so many people enjoyed it. And like, also, do you guys remember like whenever you'd go into the main city and you'd see all the camps outside the city? Yeah, look at that. Dude, you remember that? That was so cool. Oh, that was so fucking badass, man. Do you remember all these? These are all people setting up their camps and everything like that. And it was so, so special. And like, that experience is, I think, what makes, because like New World is like clearly set in like a colonial era North America. Colonial era, like 1600s, 1500s, maybe 1700s. Like that's basically what New World is, right? And I think that part of that is being there with the age of exploration. And the age of exploration feels a lot fucking better whenever you're doing it with other people. Like there's like no reason to be in like these places here. Like, this is really cool place, but there's no reason for somebody to be inside of the tavern. Now, how do you fix that? I'll show you how to fix it. The way you fix it is you have the bards that have to play songs inside of the tavern, and if you play a song inside of the tavern, you have to tip double, but you also get double the buff. That's how you get people to go into the taverns. So there's a lot of easy ways to solve this kind of stuff, and I think New World has to figure out ways to do that. Let's see here. And maybe that's not a great idea, but what I'm saying is that at least they need to start thinking about what would be, right? By the way, this guy was a dev of New World. He was a dev. And whenever he actually didn't know if the voice chat system was going to work, and he was genuinely asking me if it was going to work. I have to remove competitive music area before doing that? Yeah, they'll probably have to have some sort of a fix or like some sort of like stage or something like that, right? And so let's see, I'll go back to a little bit more of the gameplay and just like seeing other players. I think that's really what the important thing is, right? Is like, it's about seeing other players and interacting with them. That's what really matters the most. And so you want to have experiences where you're out on an adventure exploring a new land and you see other people that are on the same adventure and you team up with them, you work with them, and you do things together. That is what is I believe, fundamental of what the MMO experience is supposed to be, right? Especially, remember, like, I got everybody together for like killing this bear. Oh, dude, this was so fucking good, right? Like, this is the kind of experience that I think everybody missed. Like, if the entire game had this type of vibe, I feel like it would be amazing. It was so fucking fun, man. That's what makes MMOs so good. Yeah, seeing other people. So they need to create different avenues for you to see other people and for you to interact with other people. That's really, like, that's what I think is holding them back the most, right?
Out of his own den. If
And
we
then,
have
like,
to do that, we need more people.
them having
We
like the
can't do it
voice
with this
chat
small
and
amount of people.
everything,
There's
the
no way.
proximity voice chat is amazing.
I'm calling for backup.
Yeah, this was
Go for
so
body
fucking
shots,
good.
boys. We got him. 50%. 50%. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Do you remember
Keep
how
it up.
fucking fun this was?
There it is. There it is.
Who was here?
Come on, you can do this, boys. Go in there for the reses. Go in there for the reses. Any heroes? Any heroes? Let's go.
Oh,
Shit! Keep it up. We can't let them beat us. Fight till you're dead. I'm going in. Yeah! Can't beat me. Fuck you, bear. Oh, shit. Going again. There it is. I need a heal. Oh my god. I need a res. Res me quick. Got it. Oh. I need a res! Guys, I need a res! Somebody res me quick! Fight him again! I need a res! Res me again! Res me, guys! This shit was so fucking fun, man. It was so fucking fun. And like, that's the kind of experience that you want to have. And I really hope that's what New World, look at this, sources in order to defeat this beast. And also to regroup and get more people. Look at them all. But for now, we're going to go in there. This is the experience people want to have. You guys are going to let me pull this right here. This is a social multiplayer experience. And you can't fucking have that experience whenever the total online players on a server is 239. And that's the fucking truth. How many of you guys logged back onto New World after a long time and you were going to try the game out again, but your server was dead, so you didn't play? How pathetic. There it is. Like I said about streamer culture, well, it's not about streaming or anything like that. I mean, it's like streamer culture or anything like that. Like, it's just as simple as people like playing a video game with other people. It's not crazy, right? You won't be able to farm mats. That's okay. It's better that materials are very hard to come by than players are very hard to come by. Like, for example, Black Lotus was hard as fuck to get in Classic WoW, but the game was great. There was a whole meta built around Black Lotus. He is going to go full out big dick on this boss at ranged. Do not let him. I remember dude, this was in like what year is this? You do not attack 2020. Do not fucking attack him if he is standing up, okay? We had like 80,000 people watching this. Attack him. Stay back. This was nuts. We will beat him. Die on top of him. Die on top of him. We actually did kill him, by the way. Defeat this beast! Go! Take him out! Yes! Yes! Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. And somebody else skinned him. I didn't get a chance. There it is, boys! There it is. Yep. There it is. 30 dudes versus a grizzly bear, exactly. And that's the kind of experience that people wanted to have, right? And the only thing I'm trying to get at here is that, like, this is what New World needs to have. So they want to ask, what do you wish was happening? More players on a server. Straight up, it's that simple. More players on the server. What do you think about the price? I think I see a lot of bitching in chat. If people are crying about a free game that has a $30 expansion, they're being delusional and unreasonable. They're not asking for $70 for the whole game. Like, if you have the base game, or sorry, not a free game, or sorry, a free to, what I mean by free is that you don't pay monthly for it. Like, there's no subscription cost and there's no like real hard pay to win in New World. Like, you can play, like, you can get like maybe a little bit extra shards or something like that, but there's no like hard pay to win in the same way there is with like Lost Ark or like Honkai Star Rail. So like it's a buy to play. Yeah, what I mean by free is that like you're playing it for free. I think actually free is the wrong word to use. It's a buy to play game. If it's a buy to play game, I think having paid expansions is completely reasonable. And it's like, if they're going to make all this content, they're going to have to make their money off of it somehow, right? Like, what are we talking about? That the people have to get paid at the company, so they make content. Like, I don't know, guys. I thought this was great. You know, like, whenever Armored Core came out, I bought the game and then I played the new content. Like, imagine that. That's such a crazy idea, right? But I think that it works. You think changing when the game is, charging when the game is dead is a good idea? I think that a lot of people probably, how many of you guys are in this camp? You probably played New World a little bit and you wish you liked it more.
and you wish there was more to do. I think there are a lot of people that were disappointed that New World wasn't better. Because, like, a lot of people like the game. They like being in the environment. They like being in the world. They just didn't like the end game activities, and they just didn't finish playing it because it was super repetitive, right? For, like, whatever reason. And I think that the game had a lot of problems. I don't want to go through all of them, but we all know that. So I don't think that it's unreasonable. Like, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to ask people to pay. Oh yeah, you have to pay $30 for a massive update like this. It's a whole new zone, a level cap increase. It's like a WoW expansion, basically. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Gathering super relaxing. Yeah, exactly. Mid-game is whenever it started to fall off. No cap. Yeah, especially on release, because it wasn't really fleshed out at all. It's improved a lot since then, and it's great. That's great that it's improved. It still has a ways to go, but it has improved a substantial amount. Let's see here. And plus, when there are changes, you can get a feel without buying the new expansion first. Yep, there you go. Forcing people to buy expansion or you have no shot to remain competitive online? Absolutely, because that's the way MMOs work. That's the way World of Warcraft works. That's the way that Final Fantasy works. That's the way, I don't know how Guild Wars works actually, I'm not really sure. But all of the other games that you're talking about, these are all games that you're paying, like Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft, you're paying for this game monthly. Like, you understand, like, if you're paying two months of World of Warcraft, you just paid for this expansion. Like, what? It's like you had to buy. It's effectively you have to buy this expansion every other month, whenever you play WoW, and you have to buy the expansions on top of that. Destiny 2, yeah, Destiny 2. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, guys, I think there's a time and a place to be unhappy about having to spend money on a video game. I just don't think this is one of them. I really don't. It's not a pay-to-win game. It's a buy-to-play game. It's been continuously updated. And they're making an expansion. And they're saying, hey, pay us $30. This is not a $70 expansion. It's not even a $60 expansion. It's not even $50. It's $30. If you are playing the game all the time to where you're worried about not being competitive because you can't afford a $30 expansion, you need to rethink your life on why $30 is that much money for you. And I'm sorry if that's a bit of a reality check, but it's the fucking truth. Come on, $30. We're not talking about a $100 game. Pepega, I want people to come to work and develop new content purely out of the goodness of their hearts. Yeah, I don't know why people are like that either. I think they're being unreasonable. Your chatters are off the perks, man. It's because people don't like the game, so they're reverse engineering logic to find out a reason for why it's bad. If you don't want to buy the game, it's crazy. I don't get it. Like, I don't get, like, where people come from. It's because New World didn't launch with adequate amount of content, DLC. Okay, so New World didn't launch with an adequate amount of content. But New World fixed that problem without causing you to spend any extra money. It is a buy-to-play game that was not finished on release, but you did not have to spend any money. If you bought the game on release and you come back a year later, you do not have to spend any fucking money. Or do you pay them to fix their issues? Because that's the way literally every other MMO works. That's the way World of Warcraft works. That's the way Final Fantasy works. Every single MMO has some form of continuous payment that you either have to do or you do this and it provides you a tangible benefit. Why are people arguing this? Because people are being unreasonable. That's why they're just being unreasonable and stupid.